Namaste, Shivani.
Namaste, Tan.
Today we're talking to Shivani Ugrin. Shivani's been a long-term visitor to Rishikesh, and this time she's been staying here since last July, was it?
Yes, July.
July. And just before we came online, she was sharing with us some really exciting things that are emerging for her this time in Rishikesh. So Shivani, please tell us what you were saying about what's Rishikesh meant for you this time, what's emerging?
Oh my goodness. Well, so I think the universe has sort of parked me here for a 2-year span of time where perhaps for the first time I'm free from external obligations, free from having to work. In fact, I'm technically not supposed to be working. And so with this sort of liberation and constraint at the same time, it really feels like, all right, how can I more deeply serve and how can I more deeply offer? And it's funny, one of the things I often say when I'm teaching or guiding others is, this process of bhakti is about, cracking open your heart and pouring the contents on the altar, making yourself an offering. And this time in Rishikesh for me is all about like, okay, how much can I offer? What else can I offer? Is there anything that I'm holding in that's ready to be offered? And so I don't exactly know the shape of everything that's to come. Maybe none of us do. But certain things are bubbling up to the surface. So a real studio album, like the melodies and the inspirations and the collaborators are just showing up in a really remarkable way. And then opportunities to serve more deeply, opportunities to reach people I didn't dream of. So right now I'm in this place of just saying yes to all the little things, the small things and the big things, just saying yes. And if someone says, hey, do you want to offer a concert, but we're leaving in 10 minutes? I say, yes.
Why not?
And then I find out there's a busload of Argentinians who've never chanted kirtan before, and like for some reason it's a miracle that we've all come into a small room ready to do this. And so these small miracles are just popping up everywhere, and I'm just learning about the potency that's available to us when we, just let go of a fixed agenda and just go with that idea of just offering more deeply, more deeply, more deeply.
See, this sounds like a very deeply meditative experience you're having here. Do you think how much has it got to do with Rishikesh, and how much has it got to do with where you are at in your life right now?
I think I'll say yes.
Yes, everything.
Exactly, yes, just saying yes. Yes, that's exactly right. That it is about, I've been brought, or have brought myself, or however it works, to this place at this time for that. I don't think in previous phases of my life that I would have really been able to have the same openness to all the creative chaos that Rishikesh offers, right? There's sometimes the loudest noises and the deepest silences here. And, for whatever reason, now is the time in my life where I'm able to receive that. Able to receive the whispers of Ganga, and able to breathe through the honking of the traffic. And so yes, it's all in one bundle, that there's a ripeness there.
Beautiful. So moving back, what was it that brought you into a spiritual journey? Was it the family you were born into? Was it any one event? Was it a slow emerging? Just share with us how.
Oh, wow. Well, that goes pretty deep. So I would say in my childhood, there was a certain kind of isolation and loneliness that was there. And in that space, you know, I was the little kid hanging out down by the puddle with the pebbles, dropping a pebble into the puddle and just watching the ripples go outward, or hanging out on the grass with a chamomile flower, you know, just experiencing it. So there was this solitary isolation that was there, and in that place for me, it was just connecting with vibration, connecting with plant life, connecting with the sounds of nature. So I grew up in Alaska, and most people know Alaska from the tourist brochures, where it was a sunny day in summer and there was an eagle and a moose and a whale was jumping, and you're on a boat and you have lots of money, and or you're going skiing in a lovely place and you have lots of money. So when you're growing up in a place like that as a local, coming from truly humble circumstances, there's, you know, I played with the snow, I played with the mud, and I would find places to sing. So for me, singing and making sound and exploring things that made sound, like slapping my hand on water or whatever it was, the sound of the snow crunching under your feet when you're walking. So for me, I was in this world of sound, and that's where the peace and where the shanti was for me. So externally, the circumstances were you know, not anything you might wish on a child to have. But at the same time, all of that ended up being, I think, a deep blessing, because I was sent inside to find that deeper peace that surpasses any external conditions. And, you know, going into school, music and singing for me was really a lifeline, and has continued to be my lifeline. Right? So both in terms of the thing that I can grab hold of and it's always there, and it's always the portal or the access into the places inside the heart where we wish to dwell. But also, you know, the line of life that extends outward, I know that's it's all connected through music. I used to think that, back then I did this kind of music, Western classical, or I did, you know, I had my opera phase, or I had this phase of my voice, and I used to think that they were sort of like separated chunks of sound and music. And now, something about being here in Rishikesh, I think it's the international flavors and colors and languages and voices that are showing up here in Rishikesh is pulling out of me, like bubbling up from deep below, some of the voices of my past. So voices of liturgical Latin, and voices of, right, this week I'm awakening and remembering liturgical Arabic with one of the participants in my intensive group. So Rishikesh is it's like I'm in the cooker here, and it's getting hotter, and the things that had previously sort of settled to the depths of my past are bubbling up and enriching the sound and enriching the music, and in a way that I did not expect. I thought, all right, I'm going to come to India and learn Indian music. I'm going to study raga, I'm going to study Nad yoga, and go deeper there. And yes, that's happening. But what I didn't expect was that all the voices of my voice and all the musics of the world that have previously touched me in spiritual connectedness are now emerging, and are a vehicle that, again, in terms of saying yes to being of service, are a vehicle that I could run into someone from Israel and sing with them, you know, a prayer in Hebrew, or I could run into someone who's coming from war-torn Syria and we can share Syrian liturgy and prayers for peace. So I never in my wildest dreams thought that would be happening in Rishikesh.
Expectation. You said something really interesting before. You touched on what you refer to as emotional puddling. So emotional puddling as related to music. So
Yeah.
would you mind sharing with us a bit more about how you see music and sound can really just help take down those barriers that we construct?
Yeah, so there's many forms of yoga, right? There's yogasana, the physical postures that open the gates of the body, right?
Yeah.
There's Jnana yoga, which is about the knowledge and the specific teachings that have been transmitted through the lineages. There's karma yoga, yoga of action and service. And for me, what is the most accessible gateway for all of us and beneficial for all of us is Bhakti Yoga. And Bhakti Yoga in particular, this is that yoga of love, the selfless service, and the yoga of offering oneself on the altar. And for me, the most powerful way of approaching that is through sound. And sound practices are really the foundation and the core of Bhakti. But it's beyond this. A lot of people have an idea of Bhakti is one of these yoga traditions coming out of the spiritual wisdom of India. It's like, actually, if we just take the thing in of itself, that no matter where on this planet we are born, no matter what language we grew up speaking or spiritual context we've been offered, that this idea of Bhakti is the same. It's this, I'm connecting with that divine source. And often for most of us, what stands in the way is the armor that we have layered around ourselves, that we've sort of plastered ourselves up and wrapped ourselves up. Little wounds, aloneness, being injured in some way, that we sort of wrap ourselves up and then plaster it over to in a strategy to strengthen ourselves. And a lot of times what happens is we end up stiff and numb and feeling very constricted and feeling where there is no home. So the sound, the safety that happens in the vibration of sacred sound, which can be wordless sound, it can be humming, it can be all kinds of singing, with or without mantra, that in the safetiness of this sound, this vibration that is part of our internal operating system, that sound can help us melt away these pieces of armor that we've stuck all over ourselves. And this melting can be easeful and a joyful releasing. So it doesn't have to feel like ripping a Band-Aid off where it hurts, but rather through the sound, and often with the tears, that it's all dissolving and melting away. So, I could lay myself back in a pool of safe, blissful water, and it's just going to dissolve whatever is caked on me and let me be bare before the divine. And that, to find that safety, this is what the sound offers us. Because it's such a vulnerable place to sort of, people think of, I would be so naked, I would strip my heart open, but with the sound, it becomes very easeful and can be very joyful, releasing, and letting that dissolve and melt away. So, and then that's where we become available for all manners of teachings, right? All manner of philosophy, insight, breakthroughs. We become available to that as we melt open.
How could we resist? Like, it sounds just so enticing. It's so easy and so blissful. So I noticed that you've got a track, and it's called Saraswati.
Yes.
Which is available for download.
It is,
yeah.
Yes. So this track is available in all the online music stores, so iTunes, Amazon. So Shivani Ugrin Saraswati, if you type that in, it should be easy to find.
Beautiful. So that's Shivani Ugrin, Ugrin, is that
yes.
how you spell it? Saraswati, as in the goddess. So thank you so much, Shivani. It's been so beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I really honour the time we spent together.
I look forward to it.
So do I.